Alrighty, hello and welcome to the CREEDCAST, Creed fam, Port fam, everyone out there. Thank you for listening. As always, my name is Dave, and as I said, this is the CREEDCAST, Port Adelaide Football Club podcast, and this is a Thursday evening that I'm recording, which means everyone has listened throughout the year that you know what that means. It is the SQUADS show that will be dropping into your ear holes on Friday morning. A very, very short turnaround to the game, so thank you for listening. If you are listening to this prior to the game, it is very, very much appreciated. This game, of course, taking place Friday evening, Friday the 24th of October, so just less than 24 hours from now when I'm recording, we will be playing the AFLW Showdown at Norwood Oval against our, of course, hated rival, those pricks from West Lakes, the Adelaide Crows, but playing at Norwood because, you know, they're a homeless team. So that's just their lot in life. I am alone tonight. Of course, Jamie returned from podcast paternity leave to join in the review of our match on, and I encourage you to get around listening to the review of the Hawthorn match from last Friday evening that we dropped yesterday. Great review, lots of just talking points about where this team is at and how impressed we were with that win. So a lot of things about how we feel about how the team is looking, how they could shape up for this game. It's relevant to listen to that review as well. To kind of get our thoughts on how we're playing and hopefully how we will play again tomorrow evening. So get around that. Of course, as I mentioned, Jamie is he sent through voice notes as he always as he's extensively done over the last few weeks, which is really, really appreciated. So we'll get to his AFLW thoughts in a moment on the showdown and everything. I've got him in the Steam Deck here ready to go. But yeah, he's still obviously with the new additions to their family, still a lot of busyness in life there. So getting to link up together on the podcast once a week is good. But I'm really, really appreciate that Jamie's still taking the time. Obviously, everyone that knows and listens to the podcast knows that he puts a lot of time and effort into it, and he puts the effort into getting some voice notes through to me that I can play, so you can still hear from him as well, and it helps me fill out the podcast as I'm here talking to myself. Before we get to hearing Jamie's thoughts, I will just run through the sides, the ins and outs, and your Port Adelaide Footy Club, which between the men's and the women's this year, there hasn't been too many unchanged lineups. Obviously, we all know from the men's season there was just injuries every week, it felt like. And certainly our women's side, between injuries and maybe just trying a few different things this year, I think there's been one point this year that we were unchanged, but otherwise, more or less, we've been changes every week. But we are unchanged from the lineup from last week. Obviously, we did get the news in the week that Lauren Young is out for the year now. Papa Window's out for the year, which we kind of probably expected after that cheek injury. That nasty one that she copped against Brisbane. Kirsty Lamb's still recovering from that calf soreness she developed in training post the Bulldogs game. So there's a few injuries that kind of got updated to us this week in the injury report on Tuesday. The ones of most note being the Piper Windows and the Lauren Youngs and maybe Kirsty Lamb's. Timeline changing. I did mention that Julia Teakle's actually got a 1 to 2 week timeline now, where she was a little bit up and down and then TBC for a little while. So it's good to see Teakle looks like she could conceivably play footy in the next week or two. Whether we've got much footy left to play at that point remains to be seen. But yes, we are unchanged. As far as our lineup from last week to this week, we are unchanged. The ladies that were really so impressive against Hawthorn last week have got the chance to see if they can back it up as the unit, the starting unit that they are from last week. So we can just look at the way the team has been named. We'll start with the Matilda Scholes, Cheyenne Hammond and Shanae Goody named in the middle. Derek, Tahoe, Sowden, Gaunt and Mules-Robinson in the forward line. In the centre, we've got Ella Bogue, Ash Woodland, Ella Heads. Ella's on the wings. And Ash in the middle. Back line, Tegan Jermack, Jasmine Evans, Molly Brooksby, Emily Borg, Sachi Syme. The bench, as it's named, Ebony O'Day, Gemma Houghton, Maria Maloney, Caitlin Pope, Jasmine Stewart. Now, obviously, we know that the starting lineups are often a little bit different than what's named, but that just kind of gives you an idea of our side anyway, as it's named. Indy Tahoe, of course, trying to stretch out what will be any more goals scored. I think I saw a stat today, any more goals scored by Indy or anyone else getting past 21 will see that be a best scoring year ever in AFLW, and Indy Tahoe, if she adds a few more goals to the tally, will be just, stretching out into unknown territory. There is, of course, there's Chloe Malloy, Jasmine Garner, both kicking some bags this year as well. So just been a good year of goal scoring, and scoring in general is increasing in AFLW. It's just good for the league-wide development to see that, but it's really, really nice that Indy Tahoe is in that story. And, of course, Gemma Houghton just needs any more goals, and she'll have a career best season for herself. And, of course, be probably a great milestone for her if she can nudge 20 this year as well. She's currently on 17. Of course, Indy Tahoe sitting on 21 as it currently stands in the goal-scoring stands. But we won't look too much more. I don't want to get too much more into my thoughts on the game, but until we listen to Jamie. But I'll just mention the Crows. Crows do have some changes and some handy ones coming back in. They have Caitlin Gould, All-Australian forward from last year, coming back in. I think she's been out for like half the season. If I remember correctly, it was a wrist injury. So she's a really important piece to get back for them. To go down to that forward line, just a target forward for them. Probably for just some direction and structure for the Crows. That'll be really, really important for them. Kind of like what Indy Tahoe provides us going forward. Having a name like Caitlin Gould coming back in, just to supplement your Pontas and co down there. Ellie Jones as well. I haven't watched too much Crows footy this year. Who'd have thought? Like the guy wearing a port jumper and a anti-Laker Blazing Club hat, which is just a little bit of hater vibes for this, even though it's Portland Trailblazer related, but the anti-Laker Blazer Club kind of idea. I was just like, I'm going with a little bit of just hatred on my head for the podcast tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening, then you just have to believe that I'm wearing wearing that. But yeah, I haven't seen too much of India or Sheed, but like the Gold coming in does add some a clear class and talent to that forward line and some structure and direction for them. So that's a big one in for them, and certainly one for us to watch. And they also bring in Rochelle Martin. They omit two players, Stevie Lee Thompson, who's been in and out a bit, but they also omit their out-and-out ruck in Jess Allen, which is really interesting to me. Jess Allen is out. I think they've been just reading a brief read of their name side. Actually, I've got the link here open. As to how they named it. Ruck Jess Allen comes out of the side, and what Harper revealed was a tough decision for the coaches as she looked to regain her best form. And it was a really difficult decision for the coaches to leave Jess out. They thought she hadn't quite been giving what they were looking for, and she came out. She will have a chance to bounce back in the scrimmage this weekend, and hopefully it's only 1 week for her, and she's back next week. Veteran Stevie Lee Thompson is the other. She's been in and out, but Jess Allen comes out of the side, and so they've named, I don't know their ruck battery and what their pinch hitting ruck situation is, but they've named Lily Tarleton, a young forward, 23-year-old forward that stands at 186 centimeters. She's as far as I'm understanding of how the Crows have played, like she's been predominantly a forward that pinch hits in the ruck. So whether they're looking at it and going, Jess Allen's a bit in and out of form, I wonder if they're just hoping that Lily Tarleton, as a younger, maybe a bit more of a tank. I don't know what a tank's like comparative to, I don't know, what they're planning there, because you're giving up. And we've seen Matilda Scholes just dominate, secondary ruck units over the last few weeks, and even when she's up against a clear out-and-out ruck and decent rucks like Alice Edmonds a few weeks ago, I've seen her dominate those matchups as well, or at least win those matchups, if not dominate them. And certainly when she's been playing against pitch-hitting ruck kind of situations, like the Hawthorn ruck situation last week was one that when Lucy Wales went out with appendicitis very late in the piece with the game coming up, Matilda Scholes just feasted on the kind of hodgepodge situation that Hawthorn were left with. It's not Hawthorn's fault. Like, they just had to deal with, make the best of a situation, but Matilda Scholes certainly took advantage of that. So I'm wondering if the Crows are kind of like they don't see Jess Allen as having the form to match up with her, and they're just going to go with a pinch hit situation and know that they might be ceding a little bit to Scholes and try to win with their ball winners. They've obviously got some great ball winners and players that can match up in the midfield and kind of try to win it at the ground level at the source, and see if they're going to have to be inventive in how they and they've certainly got the talent to do that. This is a team that's been there and thereabouts as one of the best in the league since they've come in. and when you've got your Marinoffs and Hatchards and co out there getting around, there's certainly different avenues to getting the ball, but they're probably given up a little bit of the ruck contest there with that selection. So yeah, that's your selections. That's your squads. Now I might give Jamie sent through a voice note on the showdown. His some thoughts on the AFLW showdown. I kind of gave him some leading questions as to what some thoughts to bring up. So we'll see what he's got here. I just listen again like I've done the last few weeks. I've listened to like the first 10 seconds, the 5-10 seconds just to see that the voice file seems fine, and then I was just like, I'm going to listen to the rest of it with you guys. So I think this one's about 10 minutes. We'll get hear from Jamie here and see how he's feeling about this matchup coming up.
G'day, Creed fam. Jamie here, checking in again, back in voice note form, just while we round out the end of the AFLW season. I'm unlikely to be joining Dave again live for our preview episodes due to the recent family acquisitions, or additions, should I say. But just wanted to jump on, just quickly provide my thoughts on Showdown and Showdown week and what it kind of means a little bit. I just want to start off and kind of acknowledge that from my perspective, I do think that the two rivalries are quite different. That's probably obvious to say, though. Obviously, the men's competition and the men's showdowns have been around for a lot longer, and the women's competition as a whole, but then more specifically the showdown, hasn't been going around as often. I think there's a lot of history that goes along with the men's showdown and the two clubs. But local rivalry is local rivalry, and it shouldn't be understated. I think with the women's competition, just by the nature of playing the Adelaide Football Club every year since we've been in, it's given us kind of a tangible indicator of our progression a little bit, I feel. And I guess for me, that's what makes this one tonight, for all of you listening on Friday, so important, because I feel that for the first time since we've been in the AFLW competition, we have a great shot of getting the chocolates, although this one is away from home as well. But local rivalry is important because it does give you a bit of a pep in your step every week. I know Dave and I kind of dread, while we always look forward to a showdown week, we kind of dread it a little bit in the men's season, particularly because of the circus that it can become and some of the silver spooners and their attitudes afterwards. And I guess that also plays into it a little bit, where, how we come to support certain clubs is sometimes different. But I do feel that all clubs have their own genuine characteristics, and for whatever reason, why one person supports Port Adelaide Football Club may be different from the other. For me, I feel that there is a little bit of values-based supportership as well. And I guess for me, it came to prevalence in my mind a little bit when the Isaac Rankin stuff started, or happened, I should say. And then the fan behaviour and the club kind of apprehension to condemn a lot of these things in the following weeks and into finals. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it on pod or to Dave or whatnot, but from my perspective, that football club, the Adelaide Football Club, was really playing into a stereotype there. And I think for me, that's why I could never see myself, and quite gladly never support that football club. I think and while Port Adelaide Football Club has had its indiscretions, or players within that club has had their indiscretions, I feel that we combat things in a different manner and we carry ourselves in a different way, which aligns with my values. And I think, when it comes to a working class club, that, built its success on hard work and a connection to community and a connection to country as well. We've always been quite a progressive club in that way, in terms of inclusion and and diversity and acceptance of all walks of life, in particular First Nations people, even though that's not necessarily what this is about, but it is about sometimes, or in my case, a lot of values-based membership, and that carries along with a lot of people, what you choose to do for a job or what companies you decide to work for in the workforce within your particular industry, should I say. And that's where I love the Port Adelaide Football Club. Obviously, that's why I join Dave nearly every week to do a podcast about it. But it's why I think there is some differences within football clubs. It's not all just cookie cutter stuff, and that's where the tribalism sometimes is a bit more deep seated. Now, in regards to the AFLW Showdown, that definitely has room to grow and room to get a bit more fierce. I do genuinely believe that there's a lot of respect within the two camps, from the playing sides and coaching groups, and I guess that's just professional sport. You gotta toe the line a little bit, but I think the AFL has been a little bit different, where there has been some cross pollination in terms of players and movement and stuff like that, but just generally, maybe they're a bit more mature. Maybe us men can take a leaf out of that to an extent. But I think this weekend is a good opportunity for us to take a win, and I think that would actually add to the rivalry, because I think that Adelaide Football Club has had it a bit too good while we've been an up and coming side in the AFLW competition. And I don't really. I generated a belief throughout the men's season that rivalries only happen if good teams are playing within them, or rivalries come to more prevalence or relevance when the two sides competing are decent sides. Like, shit sides don't typically have rivalries, because who the fuck cares? Now, local rivalries do take on another dimension, but I think even in WA, again, from a men's perspective, I don't think the derby carries as much weight as the showdown, and I think that's because the ledger has not been like the showdown, where it's just so even, and the competition or the games within the relevant years have been so tightly contested or hotly contested, and that's where I think, again, the AFLW rivalry has room to grow, and I think that starts with us winning. I do think that we can take it, particularly if we play like we did against Hawthorn, and that way maybe we can start to get a bit more snarky in the women's competition. Obviously, Dave and I need no excuse to kind of talk about our deep-seated hatred for the Adelaide Football Club. Probably won't spend too much time on it right now. We've got two men's showdowns a year to kind of express those deeper thoughts about that, because it probably does relate more to that. But we're like that, those family members that come over for a family get together and they kind of just find an innate way to bring up politics, and it tends to be nut job kind of crackpot areas, crackpot takes, I should say. But that's a bit like Dave and I. Whenever we get together, we always tend to kind of weave our way into a discussion about our dislike for the Adelaide Football Club. But like I said, I'll probably leave that for another time, the more deeper conversation around that. The fact of the matter is that rivalry is good. It's good to dislike the opposition club. You can respect them when they're on a good run, but obviously Schadenfreude the house down when they find their shortcomings, like we did earlier this year. It's time to put them in their place, though. So in that regard, go girls. I hope you fucking turn it on and bring home the points, make us proud, and I don't know, do some doughies on Norwood Oval at the end of it. But that's all from me, guys. Yeah, good luck to the girls this weekend. I'll be watching from home, but look forward to reviewing it next week on the main show. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Yes, yeah, no, I know Jamie would love to be at the game as well, but I will be down there and flying the flag for the CREEDCAST on the ground in that wretched hive of scum and villainy that is Norwood Oval. I've been there for a couple of Sandful games and just yeah, fuck that place. Anyway, but we've got to go there tomorrow, so we'll hopefully can win, get the win on that weird shaped oval. But yeah, yeah, great little piece there from Jamie. As I said, I don't listen to these before we go in. It is an interesting note that he brought up about just your values based stuff, and there is like I support a few teams around the world, but the ones that I really love the most are the one like Port Adelaide and Liverpool and football. They're both port side cities, working class cities that have a melting pots of multiculturalism and pride in the fact that we have so much difference in the world, but the positive part of having differences in the world is the learning experiences from each other. And I find Port Adelaide is such a club that embodies that and has taken a long time, has taken pride in that for a long time as well, whether it be their kind of industry leading, Indigenous programs, all that stuff. So all that stuff that Jamie said about just the values based stuff in how we, and yeah, Port Adelaide aren't immune to player indiscretions. No club is. That's just a fact of it. No club nor industry is ever immune from those things. It's just a fact of unfortunate fact of where we are in the society. Is we're still trying to weed out that kind of stigma of these words that can come out at times. But I agree that just how we handle things versus how certain other clubs do. I find pride in the fact that we handle things reasonably well, considering the situations that pop up. And yeah, but on the side of the AFLW Showdown, kind of the rivalry, it was interesting. I think there was a video that came out. I can't remember if it was on the AFL, just the general AFL women's Instagram. It was kind of like one of those videos where they put the little microphone in the hand of a few Crows and a few Port players and say something nice about this other team. And I vaguely remember when they did that for the AFL men's, like say something nice about Port Adelaide, and Tex Walker being the typical fuckwit he is. He said the road out of it or something like that. Whereas on the women's side, it was just like both sets were just like, I think Matilda Scholes and a couple of the Port players were like, oh, they're all pretty lovely people, and then some of the Crows players said the same thing, and so it was just like they were all like, yeah, they're pretty lovely, not on the field, but they're pretty lovely otherwise. And it was very, very there was no controversy to it at all. It was just them being like, yeah, no, they're all pretty lovely people. So that kind of probably speaks to the difference in rivalry that Jamie was talking about. Is it's like it isn't there, but it certainly is there for the fans. And so that'll be, it's going to be, us fans want that win. Let's see. I think one of the Crows players, can't remember, was I'm blanking now. Was it Hatchard? Said that, or was it Marinoff? I can't remember who was in the video exactly. It was one of their main stars. Did say, two of Port's captains that they've had so far were, former Crows players. So, we've given them that. And I was just like, well, no, Erin Phillips, the reason she's a football player and a star and has that bloodline and everything is because it is all Port Adelaide. So you get, you can claim that you gave us MULES-ROBINSON if you want, though she's our captain now. So, but Erin Phillips is absolutely Port through and through. So you didn't, we didn't just get her from, yeah, that was, I watched that one. I was like, yeah, you benefited from the Erin Phillips that grew up as a Port Adelaide gal. So yeah, can't claim that one, but, yeah, I'm really excited for the game. I think I should have a quick look at some kind of team stats, I guess, just to briefly have a look at where they've been sitting. But the Crows are a team that likes to get a fair bit of ball use, as per usual. We're talking about a team that has a lot more disposal of the ball. They have 43 more disposals a game than us. On average this year, only average 1.5 more inside 50s, but their disposal efficiency is a fair bit better than ours, 63% on the year versus our 55.5. Their efficiency inside 50 a touch worse than ours, 43.3 to 46. And where are we going down to? Hit outs and clearances, fairly similar. We average just 1.5 clearances more a game. We do get the 1.5 more out of the center as well. That's kind of where the difference is. Stoppage, very, very even. Hit outs, we average half a hit out more a game. That'd be interesting because I think Matilda Shoals has improved as the year's gone on with a hit out game, and we've had some really good wins in that space. I think our clearance game has steadily improved throughout the year as well. That's going to be a real key part of it because I think our clearance, if we can win the center, win it from the center and get it down forward, that'll help. And like looking at those inside 50 numbers, like a lot of teams possess the ball with 30 or 40 more disposals than us a game. And they don't average much more inside 50s. It's usually only 1 or 2, if anything. So that's, and we mitigated a lot of those different. We had more of the ball last week. We turned it over less or brought in those, contracted some of those differences. So if we can continue to do that, they're not as highly contested team. And it is only a difference of 4. But we win contested possession more than the Crows do on average this year. So, and I wanted to look at turnovers, a pretty small difference. We just average just under 4 more a game. So again, if we can contract that number, contract those, and some of those disposal numbers will be right the way close to them. And I want to just see tackles as well. We average 2 more tackles a game than them. So I think, particularly on the Norwood Oval, it'll be interesting how our pressure game goes because we bring the pressure and the tackling and some of those things that we brought last week against Hawthorn. That'll be a real key to this one and winning this one. We can make life tough for the Crows with some of those kind of those DNA things that we've started to round back to some of those DNA things that were part of what made us competitive, start being competitive last year. The tackling and the pressure and all those things. At the start of this year, we were kind of like, we were trying to improve the game plan and we kind of lost some of the DNA a little bit with the last couple of weeks. We've kind of blended some of our pressure game stuff and still progressed our game plan as far as our kick mark game and everything like that. So there's some numbers there. The Crows' numbers are no more or less, any worse than some of the other teams we've played over the last few weeks that we've been competitive with or beaten. Now, I think that they do possess the ball a little bit more and have a little bit more success with it. So they're a classier team with some of those ball movers that they do have in your Marinoffs and co than Hawthorn. So they do have some out-and-out stars that just Hawthorn didn't like to damage with, and they've had some. They get the last few times we play them, they run and carry game if they get it going. But I think we've got a better structure to be able to handle some of that and hopefully mitigate those differences. Look, I still think it's an uphill battle playing if we were playing this game at Alberton, I'd be a little, I'd still be saying they're the favourite, but I'd be a little bit more confident. I think the fact that it's at Norwood is a detriment to us. Our best performances have been at Alberton this year. It's no secret. So, but this game is there to be won. The betting odds are $1.48 for the Crows, $2.59 for us. I think, and so I'm looking at my note. That's actually from a couple of days ago, so whether that's changed slightly, but I don't think it's changed too much. But yeah, we're a chance here, and I have some confidence. Like this is the first time I've gone into one of these games going, we're a genuine chance. Last year, I was really, really happy with the fact that we only lost by 14 points, but I went into the game thinking, oh, we're probably losing this one. This one, I'm like, we're the underdog, but we can win this one. We've got two wins against top 4 opposition this year. We are a better team, a more competitive team, and more consistently competitive team this year than we've ever been in our history. And this game's there to be won for us if we can. We've got to get a lot of things right. The Crows probably have a little bit more levers to pull, gears to shift through in a game than we do still. So there's going to be getting things right, playing our game, and disposing of the ball well, marking the ball well, doing a few of those things. The Crows are a better marking team as well than Hawthorn are. So there's a few areas that Crows are just better statistically than Hawthorn were going into this game. So we're going to have to be right on our game to get the result, but it's there for us if we want to go and grab it. So I'm really excited for it. I can't wait to get down there and take it in. And either way, really, really proud of the effort of the girls in the last few weeks, bouncing back from some of that mid-season adversity with those drop losses and stuff like that. I think while finals are still an outside chance, I still, look, unlikely still for me, but I'm still pleased with the fact that we've we're fighting the season out quite well, considering some of the trials and tribulations that came with some of those leads that we gave up, the wins we gave up at times earlier in the year. So look, this would be a great boon for the season, regardless of what the rest of the season may bring. Getting a showdown win would be a hell of a successful way to kind of round out the season as it comes to the minor round is coming to a close in a couple of weeks. So really, really excited for it. Can't wait to get back here on Tuesday to review it, no matter what occurs tomorrow night or tonight as you're listening at Norwood Oval. I'm going to stick around for a bit and do a little bit of Patreon stuff. So if you haven't signed up for the Patreon, link in the show notes. And when you go to Patreon, if you've already listened to this part of the show on the main feeds on Spotify, whatever, when you go to Patreon, there'll be a little note there saying when the Patreon stuff starts. So you don't have to re-listen to the rest of it. You can just scrub through and start the Patreon gear. I'm just going to have a look at the Jamie sent through a bit of a voice note and his thoughts on the coaching panel being finalised today for our AFL men's side for 2026. So we'll have a listen to what Jamie's got to say about that and some of my thoughts as well. Just another 20 minutes or so on the Patreon. So but if you're not going to the Patreon, regardless, we really appreciate your support, appreciate your listens, love your work, love the Creed fam out there, the Port fam out there. Can't wait to continue doing this. Hopefully back here on Tuesday. I said it last week. I said I hope I'm here reviewing a miracle win against Hawthorn, and lo and behold, we were. So I'm going to say it again now. Hope I'm here reviewing a miracle win against the Crows on Tuesday evening. Can the fucking pair.